Hey, happy Wednesday. Thank you again for joining me, the unapologetic therapist, Martisha Sherman, on today's podcast, where we're engaging on the topic of faith, family, and the fight for mental health, where culture meets care. So, thank you again to all of my listeners, my followers. Don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, um, what else? LinkedIn, all social media platforms. We are growing as you are growing with us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our Facebook channel. We got some things that are going on Facebook, also on our YouTube. Like, share, subscribe on YouTube. I know that a lot of times people don't get alerts that we're going live on Facebook, and we do understand about the algorithm of what's going on social media. Well, you can only make us important by sharing our information. You can make this podcast very important and reachable to those who may not otherwise know that we're live and talking about mental health and health care unapologetically. Be on the lookout for amazing things that's going on our website. Our website is live. We do have a store on there. I shared some things this past weekend at our event. Tonight is the Night Mental Health Symposium was such an amazing hit. When I say that, I am greatly satisfied, just like I was for the Love of Basketball and Mental Health event. I was just as excited and amazed about for the Tonight is the Night Mental Health Symposium. Our keynote speaker, Mr. Chris White, did a phenomenal job there. He talked about, his specialty in mental health, being a substance abuse counselor, also a published author. I mean, he has so much amazing stuff out there when it comes to the aspect of mental health, both male and female, talking about how social media, and we do know this, can overstimulate the brain, as well as it's an addiction. Social media, being on Facebook and all these social media things, can become an addiction. You wake up to it, you go to sleep to it. You wake up to it, you go to sleep to it. Kind of reminded me of this commercial, and I talked about this commercial back in the days where this man was in this room and he says, I go to work so I can do more, so I can go to work. And he kept going in a circle. I do this so I can continue to do this. I do this so I can continue to do this. And a lot of times we don't understand that's an addiction in our life. Then also, my two amazing new colleagues in the industry, which I was so happy about to meet them. And I met them, and it was that time in that season. Texas ABA, they are amazing. I had a great time with the representative, um, Coretta. I believe that's her name. I'm just excited about this past weekend. It was such a joy. From ABA, Texas ABA Therapy, she was there. We also had Miss Lewis, I believe her last name is, from A Bold Story Never Ends. She was there. My team was amazing. I had an amazing team. I really enjoyed them being there. The food that was catered by Rest and Relax Catering, let me tell you, I had people asking for this caterer's information so much because the shrimp and grits, as well as the chicken and waffles. And then you also had the thoughts. Let me tell you, the food was just off the chain. The food was amazing. It was just everything that I could ever ask for and want. Then I also had a guest from me speaking at an event 2 weeks prior about a young man who had a suicide, who not suicide, but a young man who was murdered by people because he had a mental health issue. Then the piece de resistance, my sponsor, Nag Mindful. Nag Mindful therapy was so amazing to come out, and I really appreciate them sponsoring and stepping into what we all really need to have a conversation about, and that is mental health. Miss Tammy, I appreciate you so much for being there and talking about, NAG Mindful and the collaboration that is going to occur. So, moving forward, again, let me tell you why this platform was created. This platform was created for you. I am your guest. I am the unapologetic therapist, Martisha Sherman. I am your guest. I am here to give you a full hour of therapy on the couch with me. Of course, you know the segment On the Couch with Tish. On the couch with me, where we're talking about all things mental health. Because when we talk about all things mental health, everything is revolved around your thoughts, your mindset, how you think about a thing, how you respond, and learning how to do better. So, today, we're talking about faith, family, and the fight for mental health. The role that faith in the community has with supporting mental health, how religious belief in communities can offer hope, coping mechanisms, and practical support in times of mental distress. So, when we talk about faith in the community and supporting mental health, how religious belief and communities can offer hope, it goes back to the time when I was talking about faith in mental health, because that's the core of everything that I talk about. The core of faith in mental health are your belief in mental health. And how does that work together? Well, when we're talking about the core belief, the faith in mental health, we're talking about, what do you believe in? What are your thoughts? How do your thoughts work? What is your mindset telling you? Because we also have to think about the things that come to our mind first. The enemy attacks the mind. We already know the enemy is going to attack your mind with giving you false thoughts, false hope, false things, that false narratives that do not equate right with life. So, how do your community, church, faith based, all of that, how do that equate when it comes to your mental health? A lot of times individuals go to their pastors, or their pastor wives, or they go to the ministry staff, and they're telling them of the things that are going on. And a lot of times individuals don't talk about what's going on because, again, we're still stuck, rabbit ears. What happens behind closed doors stays behind closed doors, or what happens in your household stays in your household. Well, I've known to come across some ministers who have a license for therapy. I also have came across some individuals within the church setting who are licensed therapists, licensed social workers. So find those individuals and talk to them. Also, you can advocate for yourself and for your community. You can be the one, you can be the voice to start a lot of things that can happen in the community that can help the community when it comes to mental health. It doesn't have to wait until you come across a family member, friend, or foe, or someone in the community that has a mental health issue. You can contact me. I can get with the legislative people in the legislature, in the community. Of course, I'm not in a district. I went to the city of Houston thinking that I was in the city of Houston district where I can have a district representative, and come to find out I don't, because I live in Spring. So I would have to go to Spring in order to be a voice about mental health in this community. But with that being said, you can also be a voice with me. You can come with me or invite me to come speak and talk about those things that we need to address when it comes to mental health in the community. How can we bring hope back into a conversation that needs to be had when we're talking about mental health? You can also ask your pastor if you like for me to come to your church and talk about what I have to offer for the community when it comes to myself being an unapologetic therapist. I don't mind. I would love to come and talk to your pastor, your leader, whomever, where we can collaborate. I cannot do this on my own. That's why this platform was created, for you to also be the legs, the wheels, the motion behind what is being said, because you know exactly what you need when it comes to mental health and finding out and asking questions. So, practical support in a time of mental distress, because we don't know how to have the proper conversation when it comes to mental health in the church based or faith based community. That's where the silence hits. That's where you hear people, oh, just pray about it. Just pray about it. Well, it also say faith without works is dead. Faith without movement, faith without an initiative to take charge and talk to your pastors. Hey, I know some people that are out here. I know we may have people in the community who can come and talk to the church. All these health fairs and stuff like that that's going on in churches, invite people, because here's the thing. We got to be able to grab a hold of this mental health stigma that is going towards the black and brown community. It shouldn't have to take a situation where the young lady was sitting in the middle of the highway for first responders to go out there and find out what is going on. The church was really the edifice that's going on. Yeah, the pastor is the overseer, but there are people in your congregation that can give the people in the community exactly what is needed. That's how you get people inside of your church. You show the people that you care by your actions. You open the door where you can have people such as myself that can come in there and talk to people, because a lot of times they're looking at you and thinking that you have it all together and you're perfect, and you're not. Nobody is perfect. I say this even in talking with or having conversations with individuals. We are all imperfect people. Nobody on this earth is perfect. All of us have been through or grown through something in life that brought us to the space that we're in, and we continue to grow off of that. So, when we talk about faith in the community, what does the role of faith have inside of the community? It is us coming together and not forsaking the assembly of each other, not forsaking the fact that we can sit down and have conversation about mental health, and it be a healthy conversation. Ask the questions. Stop minimizing what it is that you want to know about mental health. Stop minimizing the fact that you are experiencing something that does not feel right. If you go to the doctor because you have a heart palpitation, that doctor is practicing medicine. We're not practicing medicine. We went to school for it. We can talk to you about it. That's why it's called talk therapy. And that's why I do what is called person centered therapy. When I do person centered therapy, it's because I'm talking to you as a person, finding out what it is I myself, as the therapist, need to help guide you to get you to the proper place unapologetically in your healing. So, with that, we have to be able to be a congregation that sings together on the same note. Not everybody, and I'm going to tell you this, I don't service everybody the same way, because everybody's situation is not the same. If a person comes to me with an adjustment disorder, I don't treat a person with adjustment disorder as I would with a person who has schizophrenia. I don't treat a person with schizophrenia as I would somebody who has bipolar. I don't treat somebody with depression as I would with somebody with anxiety. So each session that I have with each individual is tailored to that individual. And that's how I conduct my services. I'm going to ask you all the questions. And also, I'm the one, I don't pull your past in unless we are at a point where life stopped for you and you became stagnant and unmovable, not moving at the age of where you lost yourself. Then I go in. So then I'm also one, before I even have a session, I'm going to ask you. I'm not apologizing. Um, then I'm going to ask you, there are three questions that I ask before I even get into a conversation. One, and then I'm gonna let you know I don't go into your past unless you allow me to. But my main question is, what are your expectations from your therapist? Because we all walk into situations with expectations of someone, and in expectating that person to be something that they're not, I need to cancel that real quick. I'm going to break down that real fast. Don't expect for me to be something that I'm not going to be, besides being unapologetic when we have a session. So I also asked the question, what is your religious belief? If you're an unbeliever, I get that. I'm not gonna Bible bash or throw the Bible at you and God said this. And no, I don't do that. I'm gonna ask you, what is your religious belief? Because if you are a believer and you're okay with us praying before a session and praying after a session, we do that. Then also I'm gonna ask another question is, are you okay, and I'm gonna ask that question of, are you okay with a certain situation? Are you okay with this when we have a session? Are you okay with me asking more questions to really get in depth about what's going on? So when we talk about faith, family, and the fight for mental health, family foundations, building resilience together, ways a family can shape mental health wellness, overcoming generational stigma, creating safe spaces to open conversation about mental health. That right there alone is a lot, because we don't know how to create a safe space for someone to have a conversation with us when it comes to mental health, especially when we're seeing them in such a behavioral way or a pattern that they're having, because we're not equipped to handle that behavior. We don't know how to create a safe space. We're quick to say, oh, and I said this last week, stop using the word crazy, because nobody's crazy. Define it for me. I'm going to ask you to find it in the dictionary for me. And tell me the definition of what the word crazy says. Um, so let's talk about creating an open space for conversation. We can sit around family and gossip. Tell your cousin what your other cousin did, and what your cousin did, what your mama didn't do, and your daddy did, and all this other stuff. We can sit there and gossip with our family, but we can't create a safe space to say, hey, family member, are you okay? I noticed that you've been stressed. What are you doing? I know someone that I watch on, I'm doing a segue into it. I know somebody I watch on Facebook Live, YouTube, Instagram, all of that. And she's really good at talking about mental health. Let me hook you on to this. Watch this live show with me. It's on Wednesdays. She also has some things going on, and she could probably address some questions that you have. As a matter of fact, I just signed up with a company today, where I'm going to be accepting clients who do not have insurance but have a budget where they can talk to a therapist and paying out of pocket. I really do like how they have this information set up. I was referred to by a fellow coworker, but I really enjoy the fact of how their foundation of how they bring clients in who otherwise cannot afford, because they don't have the insurance to pay for mental health services. Because y'all president, the man with the two flame that keep flying, but that gentleman has cut a lot of stuff out of the system. And if you really want to know the true basis of everything, and I had this conversation with someone this past weekend, a lot of the stuff that is being cut out was created way before we even knew about it. A lot of these benefits, this welfare, this um, all this stuff before Reagan got into office was created. Actually, it was created for the Caucasian female who husband was off the war, doing things, and she had to take care of her family. So the medical part was there. All of this stuff was created, but just when we got out of slavery and things started happening, then we realized that Reagan brought in the food stamps and all this other stuff to help people pay for food and stuff like that. So he decided, which is a businessman, not a president, but more like business, decided to cut a lot of things that were going on, and it's affecting a lot of people. One being those who are not born here in the United States, okay, who are not originally American, which is really hard, because a lot of us work for what we have. And when individuals come from another country, they work too. And I don't know about taxes, but I know we're getting taxed 9 different ways. But I'm not into politics. I'm talking about mental health. Even though all of what I'm saying does deal with your mental health, learning that you're taxed 9 different ways. We get taxed when we work. We get taxed when we buy food. We get taxed when we buy clothes. We get taxed when we file our taxes. They tax us on top of that tax. So it can be very daunting to your mental health, especially if you're working hard and you're making less than what below poverty level in income, and being a single parent, being single household, and you're trying to do all this and cover mortgage, lights, gas, water. A lot of that stuff can be very daunting and hard to equate, especially if you don't know how to create a budget. I talked about that. So when I talk about the budgets and things that are being cut, it's so many programs that are being cut in the mental health uh, industry. And it's going to affect a lot of people who really need the service. And that's why I enjoy that. I love the fact that I've joined this company where you could pay anywhere from $40 to $80 for a session. And a lot of times that's really a copay for somebody if you have insurance, 40 or $80. But what if you don't have insurance and somebody's out there charging anywhere from 150 above for services? So be on the lookout. I'm going to be posting that as soon as they let me know that I'm good to go. Right now, excuse me, you can find me on Alma. That's ALMA. You can find me on Psychology Today. You can also find me on Headway. I'm also you can go on my website, www.whyhecan't.com, and inquire about service. So send somebody to that website and they can inquire about service. My website is looking amazing right now. I'm really loving the way it's coming along together and the way it's being put together. I'm also going to be adding videos on there where you can hear things about that as well. But back to Family Foundation, building resilience together. So when you're talking to your family about your mental health issues and nobody's seeming to understand, I hope that there's someone in your community of family that can say, hey, I know someone. If you're depressed, call 988. They're anonymous. They'll be willing to talk to you, as well as I know someone that could talk to you on that note. Then we're talking about cultural perspective, breaking the silence of mental health, exploring how different cultures view mental health awareness and how traditions both challenge and champion the path of healing. Every culture, every race have a different perspective of how they see mental health. Now, when it comes to, and I'm being honest about this whole thing, I can't help but to be unapologetic when it comes to our Caucasian counterparts. they are out here getting the necessary support when it comes to mental health and getting mental health care, because they're saying, I know I need to talk to somebody about something that's going on. I know the way that my parents did this did not resonate with me now that I'm an adult, or my kids are having issues with the loss of their parent or loss of a loved one, grandmother. So grief is my specialty, but also couples, marriage, families, as well as, individual therapy. But when it comes to a cultural perspective and breaking the silence of mental health, I ask you, I actually implore you, like like they say, the flight. I'm asking you to share this information because you can be the legs of the unapologetic therapist on the couch with Tish, and having people to come in and watch the show. They can even catch the replay on YouTube, on Facebook. It lasts for like 30 days on Facebook, but you can always catch it on YouTube. It's on our YouTube channel. You can like, share, and subscribe there. But traditional both challenge and champion. The challenge would be suffering in silence. The champion would be, I'm tired of suffering in silence and now I need to speak to someone. And when I say that different cultures, that's why we have to take a class on cultural resilience, being able to uh, understand how different cultures handle mental health. I also know with that, when it comes to our brown culture, they don't like to look at us eye to eye in our eyes when we're talking about mental health. Some of them decline it. They're say, different cultures are like, there's nothing wrong with you. You don't need to talk to a therapist. Come talk to me. And those are the ones who are really suffering. And it's the thing of them internalizing and causing more physical challenges than it does, your mental and your physical go together. So what your mind is thinking, your body will respond. So if you're holding on and you're hoisting to and you're hoarding anger and frustration and just all these different things that's causing your body to tense, causing your body to have spasms, not being able to relax your body. These are the things that can come from thoughts that you're having of stress, anxiety. And I just said this the other day, I was just bringing myself down, and I was like, I got to decrease my anxiety level because I was so anxious about different things. So I started using my own coping skills, my own breathing techniques, my own taking things in, taking my focus off certain things, and bringing myself back to a center space of saying, hey, I can only control what I can control. I'm not trying to control everything. And that used to be an issue for me. I used to try and control everything. But now I am learning how to let go of things, even though it may not look like it's being done. But if a person is in their skill set and they can do those things for me, it may look strange or foreign for me, but I know that they have my best interest at heart. So I know hands off. And that's how I do that. So, with cultural perspective, let's break the silence. Let's get into breaking the silence about not having these conversations when it comes to mental health and mental health awareness. I'm going to continue to be doing things in the community. I was asked because the painting your trauma on a canvas was such a great hit. I was asked to do those sessions once a month. Or having, most people call it a sip and paint, but it's not going to be a sip and paint. I'm not sipping on that, but nothing against, but I know it's all about fun. You can bring a soda or whatever you would like. Um, I don't, I don't condemn. I'm not going to ever condemn because I have had drinks myself. I'm not perfect. No, not by no long shot will I ever say that I am. Not by no long shot will I ever say I will not ever be, because we all wake up every morning asking for grace and mercy. All right. God has given us grace and mercy. So I enjoy life. I don't mind every so often, but I'm not one that does it indulge on a continual basis. So that's just me. That's my story. So when it comes to stigma, from stigma to strength, stories of faith and recovery, personal journeys, and individuals and families who found strength at the intersection of spiritual and mental health care. So, stigma to strength. Stigma. Quite some time ago, I talked about stigma and what stigma was and how people put that inside of a category. When it talks about stigma and the definition of stigma, putting someone in a category based off their behavior. Don't do that. Just the same as stereotype. I talked about stigma and stereotype. How can we do stories, faith stories, recovery stories? Well, people need to hear your story. I have this on my email that goes out on my why he can at Gmail. It says everyone has a story, but are you willing to tell it? Because your story can help somebody else. Your story can help somebody else see life a whole lot differently. Your story can help somebody get to the other side of not wanting to commit suicide. And they may have the ideation, but decide, oh, I don't have it as bad as this person, or I don't have it as bad as that person. So why am I thinking that I need to, exit stage exit center stage? Why should I feel this way? And also giving them that opportunity to know it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to talk to someone. It's okay to bring your story and tell your story and bring what it is that's troubling you or causing you to feel the way that you feel to the proper person that can help address that. Also, with Why He Came, we do offer coaching sessions for those who do not meet or feel like I've had the therapy, but I just need coaching. I need life coaching is what they call it, but I call it therapeutic coaching, which is still the same as mental health therapy, but I'm coaching you through. It could be finding a better way to understand how to get paid while you learn, because that's what I call a job. You're being paid to learn. So how can I best address those situations as I get paid to learn? How can I best manage my life situation by sitting down and talking to someone who can coach me through that life situation of what it is? It could be a relationship, it could be a divorce, it could be being a single mom, being a single parent, and I have both sons and daughters. So I'm a boy mom and I'm a girl mom. So I typically, and this is me, I give everything off of experience. Like I said, I've went to school for the book. I've learned all of what I can about the theories and the theorists, Freud, Piaget, all of these people when it comes to mental health. So why do I have to throw the book at you when I can give you life experience? And this is also a judgment-free zone. There's no judgment here at all, because I don't have a heaven or a hell to put you in. I don't even have a space to put you there. But I can tell you off of experience, how did I best handle that situation? How did I best handle what I went through or what I grew through my divorce? What did I learn from it? What was my takeaways to best prepare me for my next relationship? What was my takeaways? And but you're also getting a bit of therapy inside of the coaching session. So I can, if you go down a rabbit hole with me, I can bring you out of that rabbit hole. So you'll get the best of both worlds, being that you decide to have me as your coach or even as your therapist. Unapologetically is what I'm going to say. So from the stigma to strength, how can we break the stigma barrier? How can we build strength and resilience when it comes to having these conversations about mental health? Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you, Herbie. Unapologetic therapist. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Um, so stigma to strength, stories of faith and recovery. A lot of people need to know that. A lot of people need to know, how did you get through the thing that you got through. And it could be from your therapist that you're already seeing, or your coach. If you have a life coach, please, I can't help but to stress this. If you have a life coach and they are not state board certified licensed therapist, or a licensed social worker, I need you to get one of us also with your life coach. You can have both. You can have a life coach and you can have a therapist. And we can work together to get you to be the best self, best version of yourself. Okay. Um, and having those two individuals in your life can impact things very greatly. Or you can see your therapist, because a lot of us can do life coaching. Like I said, I do it. I do coaching, I do therapeutic coaching. But I can't help but to stress over and over again, because so much has happened and transpired since COVID, and talking to individuals who, when I ask, did you have a therapist with your life coach? And they're like, no, I was just talking to the life coach and I went down this rabbit hole and I couldn't get myself out of it. And now I need help. So we can work together. We don't have to work separately. We can work together. So create a team, build your team, make your team work what it is, and get the best guidance. And also sharing your strengths, sharing your stories with individuals. And you can say, hey, I do have both. I have a coach and I have a therapist. And this is my strength. This is where I feel weak at. And this is where I'm strong at. So that can intersect. And also, when you're talking about spirituality, like I said, I'm not one that will sit up there and tell you, go to Jesus all the time. I'm not that. I ask that question before we even start a session. What is your religious belief? Are you Christian, Catholic, Buddhist, all this other stuff? And I'm going to equate that inside of our session. Me, I'm going to tell you up front. You ask me, I'm a disciple, period, point blank. God had disciples. Jesus had disciples. I'm a disciple. I'm out here discipling the word unapologetically through mental health. So I'm a disciple. But if I had to go back to my roots, Baptist, non-denomination, Christian, which all entails, I'm still a disciple. I'm out here spreading the word through mental health unapologetically. So bridging the gap, how faith leaders and therapists can, see, I was just talking about coaches. How faith leaders, your pastors, your parishioners, your deacons, your deaconess, your elders, how can faith leaders and therapists collaborate practical ideas on fostering partnership between religious organization, mental health professionals holistically? I'm holistic, period, point blank. I am not. I don't have anything against anybody taking medication for mental health. But when it comes to me, I'm not going to subscribe it, but I do have some people on my in my arsenal, in my Rolodex, in my phone, that are nurse practitioners, psychiatrists, psychologists, that can see you and give you the prescription. I holistically don't do it, because when I was in school getting my master's, and yes, I did say I'm in the process of getting my PhD. Getting my master's, I had an issue with the pharmaceutical side of us learning, and the medications that are given, how they affect us. As a matter of fact, you as my viewers and my listeners, thank you again for like, sharing, and following me. But whenever you see a commercial talking about anything from depression to suicide or whatever, if you listen to that commercial and it tell you if you take this, you may have symptoms of hallucination, a delusion, and all that other stuff, that means they're giving you a medication. You're already experiencing sadness, depression, but you wasn't experiencing hallucination, you wasn't experiencing anything of anything psychotic, psychosis. But now you're taking this medication, now you're experiencing depression, sadness, psychosis, hallucination meaning that you're hearing voices, you're seeing things, audible hallucination, you're hearing people talking to you, you're hearing voices, visual hallucination, you're seeing people, this, that, and the other, and you're taking this medication. One of the main, if ever you want to know, one of the main medications that I disagree with when it comes to the Black and brown community, ask me, text me and ask me. I'll tell you, because I can't do it on my podcast. Because if I do it on my podcast, they may come after me. And I'd rather text you and tell you what it is, or email me and ask me, and I'll send you a list of things that are not good for the Black and brown community when it comes to that. I've had an opportunity of working with some amazing psychologists, psychiatrists, doctors, in my tenure of working 11 plus years in the mental health industry. If you are a caregiver and you're interested and you have a family member who is dealing with any type of mental health disorder, I will be giving classes. There will be a course on how to properly, get what I said, how to properly get your family member into a care system. May it be HCPC, may it be NPC, which is a part of Bentov. HCPC is Harris County Psychiatric Facility. Both of these facilities are in the medical center out 288, and I can show you how to properly get your family member the help that they need. That's going to be on my website. I'll be hosting classes. They'll be virtual, as well as you'll be able to get the training material on how to properly get your family member the right care when it comes to mental health, and that you won't have to be concerned about them being there. They would get the right care and the right questions to ask, especially if they're an adult. If they're over the age of 18, you cannot force them. You can't force them to go, but there is a process where you can get them to go. And I can show you that. I did it for 3 years. I was a patient advocate and a court liaison when it came to mental health. So my 11-year tenure, I've learned a great deal. I was a mental health tech. And my story behind mental health tech was so funny. I was doing therapy then, and I wasn't even fully licensed for that, but I was doing groups, which is what I love. My group sessions will start back up in August. I will be doing groups where you can do it live online. I'm working on a day because I already do my podcast on Wednesdays. I'm not trying to overburn myself or burn myself out on mental health, especially because I love what I do. But I really want you to be able to get the information that you need. So, bridging the gap, like I said, connect me with your pastors. I don't mind talking to them. I don't mind coming to your congregation and talking to your congregation, because, again, a lot of the people in the church houses, in these edifices, because we are the church, in these buildings with parishioners, with the pastors, don't know how to ask the proper questions when it comes to mental health because they're afraid of being judged, or I'm going to say this unapologetically, they're being told that they're dealing with a spiritual demon. I have to pause for a moment. Everything may be spiritual, but not all things. We battle against darkness and principalities, not against flesh and blood. Darkness and principalities. not flesh and blood. So when somebody come to you and they tell you that they're seeing things, it's not always a demon. It's not always that to the magnitude of it being a spiritual thing. You know, we all think that we didn't see things move across. We're spirits. We are. But how do you handle that? How do you properly address that? How do you properly tell someone, I know you may have saw that thing. And I'm going to ask even more questions. What did it look like? Did it talk to you? Did it say anything? And that was one thing I used to always say to an individual who would tell me that they're hearing voices. And I would ask, what are they saying to you? And are you responding? Also, one thing I do want my audience to understand, stop saying everything is a narcissistic behavior. Everybody's not a narcissist. So stop saying just because somebody did, oh, they gaslit me. Did they really? Everybody does not have narcissistic behavior. Everybody's not a narcissist. If that's the case, we all are narcissists. Just because somebody said, "Oh, you are nice," you had on a nice outfit, "Oh, you look good," and this, that, and the other. "Oh, you a narcissist. You gaslighting me." No, that person could just be saying something really nice and encouraging to you. But if they're saying the things nice and encouraging you, then they deflect and start talking about themselves and how they, then we got a conversation. But not everybody is a narcissist. Narcissists will go back and forth, yin and yang, talk about this, build you up only to tear you down and do things so hurtful to you. And they feel like they don't even know what they're doing, which they do because they hear themselves talking when they're saying these things to you, building you up. Oh man, da 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 da. And then all of a sudden it's like, no, no, you don't. You don't. No, no, not everything, not everybody's a narcissist. So stop. Either you are calling someone a narcissist or you're saying that they're bipolar. Stop Googleizing. I said it again. Stop Googleizing. Stop using Google to analyze somebody and to give somebody a diagnosis when you are not certified. You're not even licensed to give somebody a diagnosis. You're not. Because we read this thick book that's called a DSM-5. It gives us all diagnosis with the symptoms to follow. There's a diagnosis for gamblers. There's a diagnosis for. We read these things. We see these things. We have to learn this stuff so we can best appropriately handle when we're talking to our client. That's what we do. That's what we go to school for. That's what we pay hundreds of dollars to take a test to get licensed for, and then have to wait another, after you pass it, you have to wait another 18 months or more because you got to get 3,000 hours of sitting down, talking to somebody and learning your modalities to become a licensed professional counselor, LMFT, all these things that we got letters behind our name. I'm just saying. That's what it is. So I'm working on my 2026, probably 2027, but I know more than likely 2026 PhD will be behind my name. So I'm excited about that. But how can we bridge the gap? How can we, when individuals such as yourself can contact those in leadership at your church and say, hey, I think I know somebody who can come and talk to the congregation. Are you okay with that? Or if put it in your prayer request, act like you're throwing a prayer request inside of the prayer request bucket and put it in there, write a note, say, hey, I know an unapologetic therapist that's willing to come talk to our pastor and see if we can get collaborations in the community. I'm looking to collaborate with the community because like I said, I'm just one voice. But when I have other voices collectively and we're all singing the same song, we can impact the community much more greater. So, when it comes to children, culture, and care, raising mentally healthy generations, the unique challenge and opportunities family face in nurturing mental health among children and teens across the culture context. We see our children right now. We see the children. We see them on social media. We see them on Instagram, all these Instagram feeds, TikTok feeds, all this other stuff with our children. The generation that we're raising right now, we have to break these generational curse patterns. That's what they say in church. I say generational behavior patterns because your grandfather act like that, so the dad act like that, so the dad gave it to the son, and the son gave it to the grandson, and all this 4 generations passed down of that type of behavior. Who's going to break it? I said this when I was at the age of 16 that I was a generational curse breaker. I was a generational pattern breaker, and I am. I will always be. My children and my children's children and my children's children's children are going to live. Their lives should be better than mine. My children's, which it is, my children's life is better than mine. So they're making their life better so their children's lives can be better. So when their children have children, their life can be better. So no, we're not doing that poverty. We're not doing that stinking thinking. We're not doing that mindset where we just think, oh, poor is me, woe is me, my four and no more. I even we don't do click stuff. I got asked a question on social media about clicks. Um, and when it comes to clicks, I said it, and I'm gonna be honest, unapologetically, it's just a bunch of insecure women together sitting around talking about another woman that they really don't have no idea they could actually boost and help them get to another level. But you're too afraid to let another woman in because you don't want her to find out that you're insecure. There's no insecurities about me. I used to have those insecurities, but I've learned that I'm in my lane. I'm in my zone, and I'm in my lane to help others. So there's no way that I'm gonna limit who I am and sit around with other women and talk about another woman, or talk about another individual because I want to belong in a clique. If you're used to seeing me and seeing me around other things and you haven't been seeing me, it's because I don't do clicks. I can't. They don't feed me. Clicks don't pay me. They don't give me no food at all because we still gonna be crabs in a bucket. Because I don't know, you talking about me and then you talking about me to the next person and the next person. Yeah, that don't sit right with me. So how we gonna break that? We got to stop that, even with our daughters and our sons. We got to raise mentally healthy generations. That's why you have the unapologetic therapist before you. I'm here to help break that pattern, that mindset of how we are raising our children to be like us. If you living in poverty, but you want your kids to have a better lifestyle, show them a better life. Give them a better life and it'll make you feel better. Looking good on the outside, but you out damaged and broken on the inside, that's not a good thing, good fit to show your daughters. You looking good on the outside, but you're talking bad about the daddy. You looking good on the outside, but you're talking bad about the mama. You getting your hair cut, but then you sitting up there talking about, the mama taking the child support and doing this, that, and the other. Go get your son. Go get your daughter. $150 a month child support can't support nobody. You want to know what real support is? It is getting your child and breaking generational barriers, breaking generational patterns. Just because you want to break it and you want your kid to live a better life, you want your child to see a better side. And just because you're married to another woman or married to another man, if they can't accept your children and want them to have the same lifestyle and to have a better life, then you really need to think about who you with. You really do. Because if that person say that they love you, they should love everything about you unconditionally. And if you saw me this weekend on at the Tonight is the Night Mental Health Symposium, I talk about unconditional love. I dare not be with my boo and not love everything about them. I dare not. That's flaws and all. Because that's saying I'm trying to treat myself like I'm perfect. And I know that I'm not perfect. Because I would expect for him to love me, flaws and all. And we get to know each other. And I'm going to love everything about him, family, friends, kids, whatever. And I would expect the same. Why? Because we are united front. We build together. We're doing this. What my kids will have, his kids will have. What and it's the same. That's how I am. That's changing my mindset. That's how I see things. May not be how you see it, but that's how I see it. So I'm all about raising mentally healthy children. My kids, if they need to see a therapist, they would, even though they be talking about mom, you my therapist. No, there's a conflict of interest because I'm your mom and I'm gonna say what I gotta say unapologetically. But no, you need to see someone, go see someone. If I can refer you to someone, I'll refer you to someone. My daughter, when she got married, her and her husband, they saw ministry. They had marriage counseling. They did. And I appreciate that. And when they asked me questions, I was there, but I would always say, go back and talk to your pastor about those things. With all my kids, go get the help. It's there. Why not? You'll go see a doctor. You go to a car salesman when you want a car, and they don't even know much about the car. They didn't even build a car, but they're selling you the car. Why not? You will go to a restaurant and get food. You see it on the menu. You don't know if they're really back there cooking what they say that's on that menu. So why not see a therapist? Why not? Therapy is not bad. It is not. It's called talk therapy for a reason. It's for you to talk about things that are bothering you on the inside that you have yet to try and figure out how to adjust, how to address, and how to handle that correctively. Now, last and not least, self-care and spirituality, daily practice of mental health, wellness, simple, meaningful rituals and routines rooted in faith and family that foster peace, resilience, and emotional balance. Emotional balance. That's a good one. Have a safe space for yourself. I say this, when you create boundaries, make sure those boundaries also deal with you. You can't give somebody a boundary that you're not willing to do for yourself. Create healthy boundaries for you, create healthy boundaries for those around you. So make sure when you're creating these healthy boundaries of safe space that you can do that same thing for yourself. Resilience, being persistent. I'm working on my consistency. I have an issue with consistency. Me and consistency sometimes. Now, me and karma, we don't we don't fool around with each other. But consistency, me and consistency, sometimes we have challenges. So, daily practices in mental health, wellness samples. Go for a walk. If you like the nature, go for a walk when it's the cool of the day. And if you like to go in the morning, go in the morning time. Go debrief. Go talk about it. You can walk and talk and it look like you singing a song, but go for a long walk. Go for a stroll. If you like journaling, journal. If you like coloring, color. If you like doing things to help give you a healthy, centered balance for self care, it's not always getting your nails done, getting your hair done, getting your hair cut, getting your shave, getting your beard shaved. All of that is outside, exterior. What are you doing for the inside, interior? It's just like a house. People see what's going on the outside, but it could be full of trash on the inside. You're hoarding emotions, you're hoarding things about life, you're hoarding past hurts, you're hoarding past trauma, you're hoarding past drama. Talk to a specialist to help you get where you need to get so your inside can look just as good as your outside. Stop hoarding these things. Come talk to us. Come talk to a professional. Come sit down. Come sup with me. Come. You could have came sit with me on Saturday. We had a great time. We was eating and talking and dancing and everything else on Saturday at the Tonight is the Night Mental Health Symposium. I will see you in 2026 because it is going to happen again in 2026, as well as for the love of basketball and mental health is going to happen. Be on the lookout for things that we're going to do in the month, during the month for mental health. August, next Wednesday is the last Wednesday of July that we're doing mental health for July for minority and mental health. But August is a pause for the cause. So come on, bring your donations, bring all of that. You know, donations as simple as $1, $5, whatever. It's going back into the community, getting awareness out there. Get me to your state representative if you know somebody. I love my Jerry people because they are on it. They're like, Ms. Morticia, I got you. I talk to this person. I talk to this person. I talk to this person. I've been telling them about you, this, that, and the other. And they see the need because I'm out here for the community. I'm out here doing it for the community. So practice daily routines for yourself. Go on a walk, do some breathing exercise. My go-to is I love DIY. I watch YouTube and I watch the home designer channel and this, that, and the other. And I learned that I'm not a DIY, I'm a DI don't. Meaning don't tear up nothing. I need to get somebody who is in their lane to do the stuff they need to do around my house when it comes to fixing toilets and all this other stuff, and taking my shower tub combo and creating that to be just a shower, and it will reduce my stress and my anxiety because I been and took it apart and won't do it until sometime next year. So, with that being said, let's start fostering peace. Let's start fostering resilience. Let's start fostering emotional balances. Okay. Until then, I didn't really have much to tell you. Oh, yeah. I am going to be I'm going to be interviewing. If you have not gotten your tickets to the Hallapalooza comedy on August the 9th, I will be there. I also am going to be interviewing people for the fire show for Yielded because it was her anniversary, and she's also being nominated. Her and her staff are being nominated for the Spin Awards. Be on the lookout for that. Go and vote. I just love people regardless. I love my Black and brown people. And there's nothing that y'all can do about it. I'm going to continue to support my Black and brown people no matter what. And that's just me. I don't support for you to really support. I support from my heart because I know when I do what God asked me to do, He's the one who's going to respond and give me what I need to get. So also, if you miss Big Skinny at the Tonight is the Night Mental Health Symposium, you can see him on September the 20th. He's doing a show September the 20th. Be on the lookout for my social media pages. I will be promoting all of this stuff that's going on because that's family to me. That was my first radio family. When I got on with the Saved and Silly Morning Show, actually, it was Ike on the mic first when I got there. And then it became the Saved and Silly Morning Show. I love my sisters, Erica B. and Tazi Raquel. I can't wait to be doing some more projects with them. Just be on the lookout for the Unapologetic Therapist. Still doing my segment on the couch with Tish. I'm also joining the family of the DSM. My brother Joseph asked me to do some amazing 30-second talks with the Unapologetic Therapist that will be promoted on Saturday morning with the DSM family. There's a lot going on. There is a whole lot going on, and I just look forward to be able to continue to be the unapologetic therapist that you need in the community, giving you the news that you could use, how I can help you with the family member. Be on the lookout for that. And also, I still have to say this before I leave. My 6 I'm still doing the sponsorship for my 6 teachers, 3 men, 3 females, elementary, middle, and high school. The application will be posted. Um, I said Monday, but I was still on a roller coaster of excitement from Saturday. But be on the lookout for that because I really want to give back to our teachers because they are on the front line when it comes to the education of our children. And when they are not themselves, how can they best give our kids the benefit of knowing what true teaching and what true leadership is, because they're the first ones who go before our children when it comes to education and being educated, and then they go home to the parents. Kids, we don't know what these kids are experiencing at home, but when they come to the teachers at school and that teacher is able to give them from a well of good emotional balance, it helps with that kid to learn what they need to know. So it's your girl, Morticia Sherman, the unapologetic therapist, where I say, if you know better, you do better, and you can respond differently. Have a great Wednesday.